We're on. Go, Gary.
All right, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of Midwest Mike's, coming back at you live from the UClick TV studios right here inside the wonderful Hy-Vee Arena. And we are going to have a positive show. We are going to do our best to stay positive. Some news broke about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. But we're going to do our best to stay positive. I mean, Austin just got back from vacation. How was it?
Awesome. It was great. Did a Florida vacation with the fam, so with my wife's side. It was great. We had a good time. We had like stuff lined up to do every day. A little deep sea fishing. We went out to this place that you and I would like. Well, you're not a big fan of the water, but this is like a party cove type thing. That was really fun. And it was weird, like a party cove type thing, but kid friendly. But there was a lot of people, it was bachelor parties and stuff out there. Basically what it was is like a sandbar kind of in the ocean. So like all this, it's all like you basically stand in it and it's up to here and you're in the ocean. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy. But we did that, deep sea fishing. So we cooked, and then everything we caught, we could, well, not everything, but a lot of stuff we caught, we could bring back and cook. So we did. That was really good. The house we stayed at was awesome. Weather always cooperated. So everything about it was great. Really, I mean, it was awesome. So hot, not too hot. A little bit of a tan, nothing crazy. I wish I got more tan, but it's all good. Grew out the facial hair, which my wife hates. So I'll probably be shaving that. Back to work tomorrow. So I've had about 13 days off. So, or something, 12 days off, something like that. Anyways, feeling pretty good. So good week to get away, and now I'm back on Midwest Mike's. Did you want to break that news, or do you want to stay away from it?
So, I mean, we'll go ahead and say it. We're going to be joined here by Tyler Jones, who is a journalist out of the Lawrence area. Covers a lot of Big 12 type stuff, KU, other things, NASCAR. We're going to be joined by him, but yeah, as we're kind of getting him up here, I will talk about it. I don't want to talk about it at length because I still don't know how I feel about it.
Right.
So the breaking news was that Shawnee Mission School District Superintendent today, around between 4 and 4:30, sent an email to the staff and parents that was basically saying that they are going to start the school year with remote school, so no in-person classes at all.
Wow.
And that he is suspending all fall athletics as of Friday, the 21st.
And plus, Gary, the Blue Valley's meeting right now, so
Blue Valley is meeting right now.
Later on that.
What do you think? What ends up happening usually? Do these guys kind of follow suit, or do they?
Usually, Blue Valley kind of is the first one to make a decision. And then usually, Shawnee Mission and Olathe follow. So, I mean, I don't know. From what I was watching of the Blue Valley meeting, it did not sound good. But again, it'll come to a vote, I guess, at some point this evening. And so I'll be watching that. I mean, if we get a resolution while we're on the air, we'll bring that news to you. I'm also hearing that Gardner Gardner School District is also shutting things down. So lots of breaking news here, but let's welcome Tyler to the show. And Tyler, how you doing today?
Doing well, guys. I wish it were under better circumstances that I'd be making my debut on Midwest Mike's, nonetheless. But I hate to see some of these great schools, these kids, not get to play high school football here in 2020. This is certainly something that we knew was possible, but we hoped wouldn't happen. But ultimately, it is the nature of the beast. The way that COVID has gone this direction, nothing is surprising anymore, but certainly feel for those all involved, from the students, the coaches, the parents, and you, Gary, too. This is just so unfortunate.
Yeah, so we're going to try to keep moving forward. Are you hearing anything out of the kind of Lawrence High School realm on any decision that they're close to making or are possibly making?
I haven't heard anything one way or the other just yet as far as the direction they're going to go. But it was rumored a couple of weeks ago that Lawrence would, if they were canceling their season, if they were going to, that they were going to do it pretty early on, that they were going to be one of the first ones to do so. But here we are. Today is the 18th day of August, and no decision made out of Lawrence yet. And they did begin practices several days ago. So, no decision yet, and they're continuing to go ahead and march forward for now.
Okay, well, I mean, that's great, and I wish the best to those two teams out there in that school district. I mean, there's others in the area, but the two Lawrence high schools, Lawrence and Lawrence Free State, I mean, just because we're shut down, I'm not rooting for everybody else to shut down. I hope for those seniors and those juniors and those kids that have worked hard and those coaches that they get to have a season.
No question about it. You want to see everybody play football as much as we can. And here's the deal. I'm not going to sound politically correct when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that when you look at COVID-19, the serious illnesses are ones that affect elderly and older people. Young people, this is for them no different than getting the flu or something like that to that effect. I mean, these guys are very capable of handling this. And if parents and coaches and the players are willing to accept that risk, then we need to give them that opportunity. Still let them play and let them go forward with this. But I get where the schools feel uncomfortable and all this too. But when it all comes down to it, if we just accept the fact that, hey, COVID-19 is a reality here, this can happen, that this type of thing can go on, then we could go ahead and move forward and have a season and just go from there. But this is certainly tough. When you talk about lawsuits and liability and different things, those discussions are and decisions that are to be made that are above our heads that we don't get to decide.
Yeah, so let's kind of move into some more positive news. In the Big 12 has said they are going to play. They released a conference-only schedule or conference plus one game schedule late last week. And so what are you hearing about that? And, being kind of around the KU program, what was the feeling like when that news got released?
So it was interesting on KU's front. This was a program that didn't really say much, didn't say anything at all before the decision was made. And you saw these coaches and players and administrators from all around the country stepping up saying, hey, we want to play. We want to do whatever we can to have a football season. You saw Jim Harbaugh speak out publicly against his administration and the university president there in Michigan. You saw Scott Frost speak out against the Big Ten and say that they were willing to play a schedule outside of the Big Ten conference. From KU, there was nothing, one way or the other. You didn't hear from Doug Girard, the chancellor, and say, hey, I'm a medical professional and this is what I feel like one way or the other. You didn't hear from Jeff Long or Les Miles. And Les Miles spoke for the first time yesterday in about 4 or 5 months. They've been kind of keeping him hidden away, and he hasn't said hardly anything at all this offseason as far as that goes. And so when that was going on, I felt very nervous in the sense of, okay, can you really want to be a part of this? Because you would think if you wanted to be a part of the football season, you would actively step up and say something. But in actuality, in KU's circumstance in the Big 12, for them where it was different as opposed to what we saw from Michigan or Nebraska, these other Big Ten schools were, there was never a point where the Big 12 was fully invested to canceling their season. The Big Ten has talked about canceling their season all the way back to March.
Yeah,
this seemed like something they've been wanting to do for quite some time. So that's what was different there. The Big 12 was never in that position. Turns out that KU actually, it was their folks, their medical staff that presented to the Big 12 that said that we could play football this year, that it was the KU, the folks at the University of Kansas Hospital, their medical team that put the statistics together and said, hey, it can be safely done. So I applaud KU for actually just letting the medical experts speak for themselves. By not saying anything at all, they said, we're going to let the doctors speak, and they presented a safe way to play college football in the Big 12 this year. Now, it still remains to be seen. I think we'll start this year. Don't know if we'll finish, but we will get this season started one way or the other. And I do like what the Big 12 did of the 3 bye weeks. You have time to potentially make up a game or two if you need to necessary.
Right.
Can you drop that game to begin the season against Southern Illinois with Coastal Carolina, who they lost to a season ago? For this Kansas team, when you look at the future, they needed that money to play this year, no question about it. But this could be a painful year for Kansas football, as it tends to be more times than not. But the idea of going 0-10 is not out of question here. Mm-hmm. The idea of only winning 1 or 2 games is certainly possible. I think best case scenario for Kansas football in 2020 is a situation where they go 3-7. That's not ideal, and that doesn't make things look more appealing for recruiting down the road, but still better than not playing at all and getting that paycheck come in.
Yeah, that's true. I think just kind of backtracking a little bit, which conferences have said they for sure will play? Is it just Big 12, SEC, and ACC?
Big 12, SEC, and ACC have said they'll play, and Notre Dame is going to partner with the ACC. They'll play in the ACC this year.
Yeah, good call.
You're also going to get the smaller conferences of the American and the Sun Belt, and Conference USA are also going to play this year.
Great. So we're still having. So as far as everybody knows, and I've been trying to keep up with it on Twitter and stuff, but you get a lot of tweets about a lot of different stuff going on. So we're still doing college football playoff and all that stuff, or is it just in-house conference championships? I haven't even heard too much.
The college football playoff will go on as planned.
Cool.
They'll still pick out the 4 best teams among 3 conferences. I would think the most likely scenario is that you get all 3 conference champions from the Big 12, ACC, and SEC, and probably another SEC team in there.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's the odds-on favorite in the Big 12 once again, as they should be. Clemson, the odds-on favorite in the ACC, as they should be. And then potentially, I think that you're talking about maybe Alabama and Florida filling those other 2 spots if you get to the postseason and finish out the regular season. That's the other thing when it comes to the playoff, is that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 originally said they were going to play a conference-only schedule. That was going to be complicated of trying to figure out a playoff with no conference games. Now you're going to have 3 conferences going for 4 playoff spots with just conference-only schedules. For the selection committee, this process actually got easier for them to try to figure out who deserves to be those top 4 teams.
Yeah, and actually Notre Dame is usually that wild card because they're usually out of conference, and so they usually have like a decent schedule. But now with them being in conference, we'll see them. I mean, I don't know how it's stacking up. I haven't looked at schedules, but potentially they play Clemson during the season. They play. Who else is in ACC?
They play Florida State.
Florida State.
Yeah,
so so that actually might help them out a little bit when people are like, "Well, they don't really play anybody." Well, now they've got to play some guys. So, Notre Dame.
Think about this. Think about this with Notre Dame. If they somehow beat Clemson, and that's their only loss, is to Clemson in either the ACC championship or in the regular season, and it's a close game. Notre Dame's still kind of shot to make the playoff.
Yeah, for sure.
And to bump out an SEC team, be that second team in. So if you're Notre Dame, you're looking at your playoff chances are you got to go undefeated, or one of your only losses is to Clemson. That's your path to the playoff in 2020.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, and I think you're spot on with the Big 12. I think Oklahoma is the surefire favorite. And I agree with now you said KU best case winning 3 games. Which 3 games are you looking at to where you think they're going to win or have a shot at winning?
Have a shot at winning. I would say that obviously Coastal Carolina, your non-conference game there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at, I think you have windows that you could compete with West Virginia. They won that game last year in Lawrence. Texas Tech is possibly winnable.
Yep.
Maybe a team like even TCU is not a reach. They've competed with and had some pretty interesting games with the Horned Frogs over the years. Those are the teams I would look at. Beyond that, K-State, kind of